At independence, about 60 years ago, Nigeria had only 2 tertiary institutions. These were Yaba Higher College, founded in 1934, and now Yaba College of Technology, and the University of Ibadan. Ibadan was initially a college of the University of London, founded in 1948. After independence in 1960, all Nigeria states were determined to make education accessible at all levels. This, plus population growth, led to a significant increase in the number of tertiary institutions. According to findings by Isaac Adebayo Adeyemi, a professor with the Nigerian Academy of Science, as of 2018, Nigeria had 160 approved universities. These included 43 federal universities, 48 state universities, and 79 private universities. In addition, there were 113 polytechnics and 47 monotechnics, 71 colleges of health technology, 153 innovation enterprise institutions, most of which were privately owned, and 132 technical colleges. There were 82 colleges of education, consisting of 22 federal and 46 under the states and 14 privately owned. It's clear that Nigeria's budget allocation can't do justice to the needs of all these institutions. If Nigeria is going to join the League of Industrialized Countries, it needs to fund its education sector adequately. Most importantly, it needs to invest in solid infrastructure for teaching, research, and national development. The main source of funding for Nigerian public tertiary institutions has been annual budgetary allocation from the state and federal governments. To complement these allocations, the federal government established the Education Tax Fund in 1993 to support government tertiary institutions. This agency evolved into the Tertiary Education Trust Fund, refocused on tertiary education intervention by the utilization of a 2% education tax on all accessible profits of Nigeria's registered companies. The fund has played a significant role in promoting quality and education standards in Nigeria's tertiary institutions. The Executive Secretary of TETFund, Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro, discovered that the secret to Nigeria's global economic competitiveness was to invest in research and development and strengthen the triple helix model, which brings the academia, government, and industry together as partners. The principle behind this model is simple and effective. Nigerian industries, in conjunction with the academia, identify key production needs. The academia then performs research and development to discover innovative solutions, which are then uptaken and scaled up for public consumption and exports. All of this under the watchful coordination of the government.
The education operators have reached out to science and technology operators, research institute in Ministry of Agri, research institutes in Ministry of Environment, in the defense sector. Here we are, we're talking about that kind of stuff. That is fantastic. So we're getting policy going the right direction. And we've had the support of the Honorable Minister of Education. He inaugurated the Research Development Standing Committee. That is to say, where government is tinkering with policy to fall in line with international best practices and demands, as it were, of reality in contemporary context. So there are many things to be done. The ranking of our universities, the committee is looking at all of those. I mean, quality, what are those factors that we need to get right? Infrastructure, well, that is one of the main mandates of TETFund. And you know that we've done our best so far, and we are hoping to scale up our intervention to improve the situation. We hope, for instance, that, I give you as an example, TETFund, we are thinking of providing building hostels and so on, migrating to e-learning. These are aspects that we must look where we need the funds. Well, TETFund will play a role. Appropriation funds where necessary to complement it. Of course,
One of the biggest arguments from skeptics of the paradigm shift towards research and development is that investment in R&D would be detrimental to physical infrastructure. This argument is, however, myopic, as it dwells within the realm of either or and does not take into consideration that TETFund's mandate is holistic, spanning construction and rehabilitation of buildings and laboratories, procurement of teaching and research equipment, academic staff training and research development, capacity building and teacher training, information and communication technology, and infrastructure. The paradigm shift is the story of how research and development is elevated in its significance and complemented by physical infrastructure development. It is not either or. It is both interventions essentially working together to produce the desired result.
It's one of the 12 departments in Tertiary Education Trust Fund. The department is saddled with the responsibility of coordinating infrastructural projects. One of the functions is vetting submissions from benefiting institutions to make sure that it's in line with the mandate of the funds and in line with the strategic plans of the institutions, and recommend to management for approvals. And we also have 2 stages of approvals. The first is the project proposal submitted after receipt of letter of allocations that is in line with the guidelines for assessing funds. Once we get such proposals, we make recommendations to the Executive Secretary to approve for the institutions to go along and carry due process, which is the second stage. After doing the due process, they returns with the documents, all the due process document, that is advertisement, reports, financial bid evaluation reports, technical evaluation reports, the minutes of the tenders board of the benefiting institutions, approving award of such contracts. Then we vet those submissions, check that is in line with the Public Procurement Act, and then make recommendation if found okay for release of funds. Thereafter, the department's work on a particular project ends there. So the monitoring and evaluation department would monitor the implementation of the project and up to close out.
TETFund not only intervenes by providing projects that improve the academia, the institution ensures that there is proper monitoring and evaluation of all its projects.
Monitoring and evaluation, that's the department. And the function is that we have to monitor and evaluate. Before going into this, TETFund looks after what? We disburse money to tertiary institutions in Nigeria. All the projects, that TETFund is doing in Nigeria, the M&E comes into action. Immediately money is released from the Department of Physical Infrastructure, PI. So they send the first tranche to us. From there, we start our action by actually doing what we call tracking. We have to track immediately when money is released, when did they start the work, that is program of action, when are they going to complete. We look at all this. Immediately money is released, this is our function. So after seeing what they have done, if we are okay, we come back and write our report as an ongoing. Then when the beneficiary actually does a certain job, let's say a kind of milestone, after giving them 50%, they have to now expend that money. After expending the money in terms of construction, we now go and look at it again for the second time. If they have met our expectations, we have guidelines. If we look at it, have they roofed? Have they tiled? Have they put windows? Have they done that? Our QS are there. At that time, we now swung into action and give them second tranche. That is the work of M&E in that direction. Not only that, we have also, after the release of that, we now go back again. When they call us, we go. Sometimes, even if they didn't call us, invite us or request for the release of final tranche, we still go and look at it. Because of the beneficiaries, when they collect the money, they will not do the work on time. You know the kind of attitude we have. They sometimes keep the money maybe in the bank and we frown at that. So we don't allow them to do that. By following them, we'll be marking any money release. We now go back again and check whether the money released has been utilized for that purpose immediately. In that case, we do our work. And our work involves not only the physical infrastructure, it also involves the library intervention. We do library also because it's also books. So we also check on these activities.
Since Professor Bogoro, the apostle of research and development, as he's fondly called, took over the reins of leadership at TETFund and pushed for the paradigm shift, there has been an escalation of physical infrastructure work to ensure the success of R&D.
To give you a rundown of the achievements of Tertiary Education Trust Fund under the leadership of Professor Suleiman Elias Bogoro. We have achieved tremendously in project implementation. The key areas that are very noticeable are the physical infrastructure projects that littered all our public tertiary institutions in the country, and we have disbursed funds for such projects. They have been started, completed, and are put to use, and we are very happy about that. I wouldn't want to start giving you figures, but in monetary terms, there's hundreds of billions on physical infrastructure, and they are there for everybody to see. And I believe the Tertiary Education Trust Fund is one of the key government establishments that is doing tremendously well in meeting its mandates.
These projects have had tremendous impact on the lives of the academics and their scholars.
When we started as Education Trust Fund, many students were taking lectures, standing by windows. We have gone beyond that. Now we have provided so many classrooms, lecture theaters, academic staff offices for lecturers, and we have even scale it up to Senate buildings for some tertiary institutions, additional faculties, equipment for laboratories and workshops. We are expanding our intervention to provide access. So basically we have, to a large extent, been able to meet up with the expectation of the government that established the Tertiary Education Trust Fund in providing basic physical infrastructure for teaching and learning.
The secret behind the success rate of TETFund's project implementation is monitoring and evaluation, which ensures transparency and accountability. As far as execution goes, TETFund has an excellent track record.
In Nigeria today, it's only TETFund that completes her projects. You understand? Because of what? Because of the check and balances. If we release, for example, in a particular project of construction, we don't give them more than 50% of that amount. Even if the project is, let's say, 200 million, we can give them only 100 million. After that, we go and check, have they expended 100 million properly or not? Not only that, even after we inspected those physically, we also have the auditors. We have the financial, experts from the Department of Finance. You understand? They go there and check the books to make sure that nothing wrong is done. Our own fiscal inspection is not enough. They have to also submit all the documents related to these spendings. They have to submit it to the audit so that the auditors will look at the books. Are they in order? Have they done the right thing? Even if we say okay on our own part as fiscal inspectors, the financial aspect in the book must also correspond directly with our own inspection. In that case, we have really checked on the beneficiaries. They don't do the wrong thing. As far as I'm concerned, since 1999 to date, you may not find abandoned project in TETFund. We may have some delays because some of the contracts will have some litigations. That litigation may delay the delivery of projects in TETFund. But at the end of the day, after the court must have settled or BPP, have found out the solution to the problems, they continue. So as far as I'm concerned, TETFund checks and ensures that projects are not only delivered, but they are delivered with quality.
A paradigm shift that places the improvement of content and faculty at the heart of economic development needs to be backed by infrastructure.
We have gone very far in providing physical infrastructures for teaching and learning and supporting research. But we have also gone ahead to provide facilities for researchers. We started with first addressing issues of laboratories for basic researchers and for teaching undergraduate. We have gone into provide resources, funding laboratories and workshops for advanced researchers, specialized laboratories in some institutions. These are the key things that are necessary for research, especially in the sciences and technology areas. As we are scaling up, we are not saying that we have enough of this, but we will continue to provide these facilities for the researchers to be able to carry out their researches, especially, like I said, in the areas of science and technology. The last 2 years, this present administration has come up with this policy of shifting a little to the content base. And one of the key areas is to now establish and institutionalize R&D in all our public tertiary institutions, which is key. The first stage is establishing R&D and Centers of Excellence unit in all the public tertiary institutions, starting with the universities, 85 universities. The fund has provided money to provide offices that will serve as the first hub and point of call for the research and development centers of excellence. And then we have done that. We are at this stage providing facilities for such offices in each of the 85 public universities. The next would be the centers of excellence. And of course, I'm sure you have heard that the Executive Secretary has mentioned in so many fora that the government of President Muhammad Buhari has approved scaling up the National Research Fund from 5 billion to 7.5 billion. In addition to that, scaling up of the National Research Funds, there is also the provision in the 2020 intervention budget for centers of excellence in selected tertiary institutions. I think beginning with some selected universities. So the Physical Infrastructure Department will continue to provide basic facilities that will be required for research, and that would help in providing a good foundation for doing problem-solving research.
All the projects, that TETFund is doing in Nigeria, the M&E comes into action. Immediately money is released from the Department of Physical Infrastructure, PI. So they send the first tranche to us. From there, we start our action by actually doing what we call tracking. We have to track immediately when money is released, when did they start the work, that is program of action, when are they going to complete. We look at all this. Immediately money is released, this is our function.
TETFund is not relenting on its determination to reverse the fortunes of Nigerian public universities, polytechnics, and colleges of education. There is much work to look forward to, as promised by the Director of Physical Infrastructure Development.
What you are likely to see in the nearest future is, which we have started, is we are moving from the basics to more advanced facilities for advanced teaching and learning and training. We started some years back, and an institution get an allocation, a university will get an allocation of 30 million in a year, to where they have allocations of $1 billion, not. So we are providing facilities which are iconic. Recently, you must have seen some of the commission infrastructure by the Executive Secretary. Federal Nigerian Army University, BU, where we had 2 faculties. You will see also at Bayero University, Kano, that were recently commissioned Senate building, which is by all standard a magnificent structure, which the TETFund supported. We have done similar intervention in Imo State University, their Senate buildings. So you will see more facilities that will be comparable to any university in the Western countries.
The basis for development is infrastructure, whether services for human infrastructure, as in education, or physical infrastructure like buildings, transport, energy, and water. Although the infrastructure sectors are diverse, what they have in common is that public policy has had a great deal to do with how these services are provided and financed. TETFund is playing a key role in ensuring efficient, equitable allocation of resources for research and development as well as infrastructure. There must be a methodical approach to improving education funding for Nigeria to achieve the Sustainable Development Goals. For R&D to succeed, the investment into all support sectors must be wisely utilized. TETFund ensures that funds are used appropriately and that there must be accountability across board. And that is the paradigm shift.